Good afternoon, everybody. I'll be brisk. We had a very big picture topic to address at my table. We got to gaze into the crystal ball and try to predict the impact of what we're told is an ongoing shift of the center of economic gravity from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and try to conclude what this will mean for the energy industry in particular, who will win, who will lose from this shift. It took us a while to figure out if, in fact, we agreed with the premise that there was this move from east to west, west to east, depending on your point of reference, towards Asia from advanced economies in the North America, Europe, Japan axis, if you will. Ultimately, we agreed that, yes, generally, there is, in fact, rising affluence in places like East Asia, China in particular, but the Southeast of Asia, India. We all, as readers of The Economist and other publications in particular, are well aware of these bigger trends. But looking closer to home here, the Middle East, looks to us as if that too is on the rise, as Asia is likely to be the source of greater demand for hydrocarbons. So the premise, yes, we broadly agree with it. There is this trend. What we don't agree with, though, is the implication that it's a zero-sum game and that Europe and the U.S. In particular are in some inexorable decline. It's a relative decline. That's what we concluded after much discussion on this. And there's a sense that Asia, yes, is on the rise. The Middle East will see an inflow of wealth, and it too will take advantage from this trend. The U.S. and the rest in the established advanced economies are not ready to abandon ship, so to speak. Now, a basic assumption we made on our own, looking at the broad trends, is that oil will remain at a price of something like what we're seeing today and increase further beyond this. So we're not expecting oil prices to come down to $20 a barrel in our lifetimes. This leads us to our 5-point winners list, if you will. And we will begin with the obvious choice that resource holders, that is, holders of conventional hydrocarbon resources, are most likely going to come out ahead in this environment. So that's this part of the world, the GCC nations, OPEC and non-OPEC exporters alike. Number two, companies that are focused and based on technologies that make use of technologies to enhance recoveries of oil and gas are likely to do very well in this environment too. We have one very nice example at our table. Mr. Jose Pereira from Partex pointed out that his company is operating a field where just 5 or 6 years ago they were producing a lowly 7,000 barrels a day. They began to use steam injection techniques. They're up to more than 100,000 barrels a day now. That's one example of what can happen with a relevant technology. And this is not something that's of the most advanced variety, as you know, steam injection. Nonetheless, this sort of thing would suggest that technology-based companies that can make themselves relevant are going to do very well. Thirdly, oil sands. The likelihood that as prices stay high and get even higher, oil sands become commercially viable would suggest Canada, Venezuela, the U.S., any other holders of oil sands would make out very well as well with this transfer of the so-called center of gravity. Fourth, the Middle East, yes, it's going to see a rise in revenue as oil prices stay high and get higher. What it must be careful about is that it not squander its advantage, that in fact it tries to take that additional wealth and invest it productively. Now, this is a different discussion, of course, but it just shows that there is the hazard at the edges for even those among the biggest winners. Lastly, very long-term, alternative energies, nuclear, solar, wind, you name it, companies that can perfect these and make advances in the fields stand to do very, very well. This would all beg the question, who's the loser? And there was some dissent at our table about whether there would be any losers. But basically, broadly speaking, those who have minimal access to some of these technologies and who are unfortunate enough not to hold resources are the strugglers in our future scenario. And that's really where we are. Thanks very much.